Spreadsheet API feature summary in Apache POI Excel. Here you can see a Spreadsheet API feature summary. SXSSF since POI 3.8 beta 3. Since the 3.8 beta 3 POI provides a low memory footprint of SXSSF API built on top of XSSF. SXSF is an API compatible streaming extension of XSSF to be used in a very large spreadsheet have to be produced and heap space is limited. SXSF archives its low memory footprint by limiting access to the rows that are within a sliding window, while XSSF gives an access to all rows in the document. All the rows that are no longer in the window become inaccessible as they are returned to the disk. Auto flush mode, the size of the access window can be specified to hold a certain number of rows in the memory. When that value is reached, the creation of an additional row causes the row with the lowest index to be removed from the access window and written to disk, or the window size can be set to grow dynamically. It can be trimmed periodically by an explicit call to flush rows and keep rows as needed. Due to the streaming nature of the implementation, there are following limitations when compared to XSSF. Only a limited number of rows are accessible at a point in time. Sheet.clone is not supported. Formula evaluation is not supported. The table here synopsizes the comparative features of POI's spreadsheet APIs here. Here you can see API type here HSSF or .xls, event model, user model. Here is streaming. In event model is streaming here according to sex, and in memory user model in memory tree according to DOM, and here XSSF or .xlsx event model is streaming according to sex, and user model in memory tree here according to DOM, and SXSSF buffered streaming here, and here CPU and memory efficiency. Here in event model it's good, here user model varies, and event model good, and user model varies, and buffer streaming good. Forward only here is yes, and in HSSF user model varies. HSSF in event model is good, and in user model varies, and it with SXSSF is good, is yes. Sorry, in the event model is yes, and user model is no, and SXSSF is yes. Read file in HSSF it's yes, and in event model and user model in HSSF it's yes, and with SXSSF is no. And write files in event model in HSSF is no, and in user model is yes. In event model in XSSF no, and in user model yes, and in SXSSF is yes in buffered. Features create sheets, rows or cells. In event model in HSSF is no, and in user model yes, and event model in XSSF is no, and user model yes, and in SSF is yes. Styling cells in event model in HSSF is no, and in user model HSSF is yes, and in event model in XSF it's no, and in user model yes, and in SSF yes. Delete sheet and delete sheets, rows or cells in event model in HSSF is no, and user model yes. In event model in HSSF is no, and in user model yes, and in SXSSF is no. Shift rows in event model in HSSF is no, and in user model yes. In event model in XSSF is no, and user model yes, and SXSSF no. Cloning sheets event model HSSF is no, and in user model in HSSF is yes, and in event model in XSSF is no, and user model yes, and SXSSF is no. Formula evaluation in event model in HSSF is no, and user model yes, and event model in XSSF is no, and user model yes, and SXSSF is no. Cell comments in event model in HSSF no, and user model yes. Event model in XSSF is no, and user model yes, and SXSSF is no. Pictures event model in HSSF no, and user model yes. Event model in XSSF no, and user model yes, and SXSSF is yes. As now this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for watching it.